Okay, we're ready to start video number 4, Marketing Your Dental Hygiene Career. Part 4, Advanced Job Seeking Materials. Okay, so in this video, you may recall, let me back up a step. Before we started this video, it was video 3 talking about kind of other job seeking materials other than what we talked about in video 2, which was your resume. Now we're going to move on to advanced job hunting materials. And I think some of this might kind of blow your mind and you might feel like, oh my gosh, I don't need to do this. But truthfully, as a job seeking coach, it would be irresponsible for me to not at least make you aware of these kinds of things, because they are being used as strategies to land jobs, and not just by general job seekers, but by dental hygienists. And so it's important for you to at least be exposed to these opportunities that you have. And I would even encourage you to dabble in them a little bit. And if you really want to stand out, to try to incorporate all of them, because I think that they will help you not only stand out, but just kind of blow away anybody that is applying for jobs that are in competition with you for jobs. And it will help you to land the really good jobs, because there are some jobs places that will hire you, but you may not like working there. And these types of strategies help you land the really good jobs, because the people that have the really good jobs want the cream of the crop, and they usually demand that. And their job openings don't come open very often. So you want to make sure that you absolutely stand out and you absolutely are the hands down favorite for that job. And one of the ways to do that is to go through a lot of these techniques that I'm going to share with you right now. So in this video, we're going to talk about a resume website. We're going to talk about your social media profile, and I'm not talking about your general one. I'm talking about an additional one. We're going to talk about resume videos. We're going to talk about car sheets. I've got an extra S there. It's not cars sheet. It's actually a car sheet. You could call them cars, and I'll explain what those are in just a moment. And then we're going to talk about a 90-day plan sheet, and then the post-job interview follow-up sheet. So let's just go ahead and dive right in with the resume website. Websites are really pretty inexpensive to create these days. It used to be that you would have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, and you would have to know, some of the really advanced coding that goes into creating a website, such as PHP and JavaScript and HTML. HTML by itself isn't that hard, but if you don't have any exposure to it, it can be pretty intimidating to look at it. So you need to know that websites are pretty inexpensive to create these days. You can do it for free, and or as little as maybe $5 a month, and have a very professional looking website. The one that you see up to the right was one that I did for a client. Her name is Ivy. And you can see that across the top, she has an About Me section that would be sort of just a description or a summary of who she is. She has her testimonials. We talked about that in the last video. She has her skills and experience, her work history, her education history, and then some contact information. So it's a very, very simple and small website. You can go a little bit more advanced, but you really don't need to. So my advice for you on these is to try to keep them as simple as possible, make them really clean and easy. Don't go way overboard with graphics and with bells and whistles and pop-ups and things like that. Just keep it really, really simple. Again, the idea is that you want to impress. You want to you want to create some wow with the jobs, with the employer. You want them to think, wow, this person really went the extra mile to do this, and they must be taking their job search pretty serious, and they must be a pretty serious candidate, a very good candidate to have done all this. So I think the other advantage to a resume website is that again, you will pick up a new skill, and there's a lot of dental offices that would love to hire somebody who knows a little bit about website development. You don't have to know a lot. Again, these are pretty easy sites to set up, relatively speaking, but to have somebody who has some experience with it is definite value add to put on your resume. And so why not learn just a little bit, just enough to create a site and be able to throw that on your resume and be that much more valuable. The other advantages of a website are that they have more room, so that you have more space to explain things or to provide information about your past, your experience, and so forth, than you might on a paper resume. You can actually put your paper resume on the resume website so that they can download it and have a copy of it. They would probably already have it at that point, but why not? You can do it. It's pretty simple. They're irresistible for employers to check out. If you put a link to your own website in your email that you send for an application that you're applying for a job, or that you have a link on your resume, it's pretty irresistible for an employer to say, oh my gosh, that's different. Nobody does that. So I'm going to check that out and click on it and find out a little bit more about this person. What it does is it creates, again, that know, like, trust that you really, really want to establish with an employer. That's really important. And the sooner that you can do that, the better, because the sooner you'll get an interview or the sooner you get a job offer. So it's really helpful in aiding you in that. Now, there's a couple of platforms. There's lots of different website platforms. Some of the main ones that people use, the one that I prefer the most is WordPress. 27 to 30%, something like that, of the entire internet is based on WordPress websites. So 1/3 of all the websites in all the world are WordPress websites. That's the most dominant platform to use for building a website. And there's a free option that you can use. If you want to pay a little bit more to have your domain address to be something that is a little bit smaller, so it's like instead of dougperry.wordpress.com, that would be free. But if you wanted it to be dougperry.com, I would have to pay a little bit for that to have that domain, but not very much. I think it's $20 a year or something like that. You also have Wix. It's kind of a drag and drop system for building a website. I find it a little bit clunky myself, and frankly, if the free site is a little bit sluggish, a little bit slow, but some people really like it, so you might want to check that one out. They do have a free option also, and some paid options. There's another one called Joomla and another one called Weebly. There's Drupal, there's Squarespace, there's all kinds of them. They cost a little bit more, some of those, but most of them do offer some sort of a little free option for beginners, and they tend to be fairly simple. They'll kind of walk you through each step of creating the site. Might take you an hour or two to do it in total. But again, very, very effective way to communicate that you're the type of candidate that they want. So I would highly encourage that you do that. Next up is a social media profile. Now, all of you probably have some sort of a social media presence. Maybe you don't have Facebook. Almost everybody in the world does, but maybe you've stayed away from that. You've gotten into Instagram or Twitter or any number of one of the others. But I would recommend that you have a professional social media profile. That's one that would be outside of what you would use for your own personal use, and have it to be something that you target just your career information, things of interest to your career, and that you keep the two separate, your personal separate from your professional. The person on the right, Michelle RDH, I know Michelle for a few years now. She's a good friend of mine. She's created a Facebook page called Michelle RDH, and you can do the same thing. You could just call it whatever name you feel is appropriate that would associate you with your career. And then all you use it for is just career stuff. You can log in and post articles of interest of dentistry. You can make friends with people across the internet or locally that way that are within dentistry and outside of your circle of local friends, contacts that you've had over the years. But it's just a way for you to kind of target your professionalism and still be in that environment of Facebook so that you can take advantage of the networking opportunities that it provides without providing all your private information or your private contacts or your things that you'd like to kind of keep separate. Again, Facebook is king, and so I would recommend that one. There's a lot of robust dental hygiene Facebook groups that you could join and participate with and get to know people. And so I would recommend Facebook for sure, maybe Instagram, maybe Twitter. But again, Facebook is where most of the activity is going on, and that's where I would suggest that you probably want to be. You could create some targeted advertising with it as well. When Tracy, my wife, was looking for a dental hygiene job, I actually created and paid for some targeted ads that were being, hopefully, the idea was being seen by local dentists. And so what you can do is say, I want this ad that has this picture, that has this information. And it was really just sort of like her postcard. And then I just said, okay, I want it to go to this audience. Anybody within this zip code, which is just kind of in the surrounding area where we live, and that is interested in dentistry. And so it kind of targeted the list down to just, maybe 1,000 people or a few hundred people, but it was just people who were in the dental profession that were receiving the ads, that were seeing the ads, seeing her as available as a temp. And so as far as results from that, I don't know that we got any, to be honest with you. So it's just something to consider, just something to think about. It's pretty inexpensive, so we gave it a shot. I think we had a coupon for it or something. And you can do that through your Facebook page that you create for your professional profile. Next up is a resume video. Again, might blow your mind a little bit, but we created a video where we interviewed Tracy, my wife, about how she likes dentistry and what she likes about it, and also some personal information to kind of help them get to know who she was. So she was talking about her hobbies and things like that in the video. It's still on in YouTube. If you were to Google her name and say resume video in YouTube, you'd find it. You can watch the video. It's a little bit hokey and a little bit out of fashion right now because we did it back in 2010, and video production has come a long, long way since then. So we would probably revise that to make it much, much more current, much more sophisticated, nicer. But we did it on a budget with a budget of zero, and created. I think what we ended up creating was something that was very effective at helping employers get to know her on a more personal level. And I think that was one of the factors in helping her get some temp work and also her job as well. But again, it allows employers to begin to know, like, trust you before they even meet you, which is an important thing because, from a resume, it's hard to communicate that know, like, trust from just a resume. You try to accomplish it as best you can. And I think we've given you some tools to try to do that. But honestly, nothing would compare to a video. They're just not going to get to know you that well until they see you in person or in a video and seeing you react and answer questions and engage in discussion with them. That helps them give a better flavor for who you are. They don't need to be very long. In fact, 45 seconds to 60 seconds is plenty. You don't need to go into great depth with these videos. Just very, very short biograph, with some pictures, a vignette. It could be of a slideshow even. We created a slideshow version in PowerPoint that we uploaded to YouTube. And it had some background music, but it basically just had some slides that kind of ran through and talked about her experience, her education, her hobbies again, and had some pictures in there. And that's all it was. It was just a very, very short slideshow, but the same type of thing, just kind of a resume video. I think that's basically it. So if you want to see other examples, just Google video resume, and you'll see a whole bunch of people that have used these and have done them. And you can go all out for them, or you can do them very inexpensively. Try to find ones that you think look really good, and then try to recreate that. You can do it on your phone. It's really not that big of a deal. Just try to get good lighting, have somebody asking questions, and trying to engage to show that that you're not just talking straight at the camera and that kind of thing. Just little things like that. Just kind of watch for in the resume videos that you look at to see if you can't recreate something that would be really effective. Then upload it to YouTube. Put it as a link to employers. Put it on your resume website by all means, and just you'll see that a lot of people will click on that just because they're interested, and it will help you stand out. Next up is the CARS sheet. This is CARS stands for Challenge, Action, and Result, and what it is basically little mini case studies where you were given a challenge, and then you took action on that challenge, and then there was some sort of a positive result. So these are just little snippets of information. Could be something that you experienced with a patient where you provided treatment for them. It could be something where you mentored somebody, so you can show some leadership skills there. Could be some initiative that you took in taking on something that wasn't necessarily assigned to you or asked of you. It could be a project that you handled, but just basically just a little paragraph that describes the situation, how you responded to it, and the results that came from that. If they're positive, you want something that obviously is positive. But similar to the testimonial sheet, you put all of these, and you may want to create like 3 to 5 of them and put them all on this little sheet called the CARS sheet. And you may want to spell out what the acronym stands for, Challenge, Action, Result, and talk about this, here, or you could just call it success stories. You could just say these are some of the experiences I've had, some of the recent successes that I've had, and then just kind of document them, outline them for people so that they understand that you are a person who can take action on a problem and fix it. So it's a very effective, forward-thinking idea that will help you to stand out as a job seeker. Next one is a 90-day plan sheet. Now, this is something that I hadn't seen up until just recently. Basically, a 90-day plan sheet is a document that you bring with you to a job interview. It would be an outline of what you would do in the first 90 days. Now, some dental hygienists might find that that's over the top, and maybe it is. Maybe you don't need to do that. But as you grow in your career, as you find opportunities to move on and advance and try to apply for positions that are ones that are maybe you feel are for sort of a step forward for you in your career in terms of responsibility and that kind of thing. A 90-day plan sheet can be kind of a normal thing that a lot of job seekers use to show what they would do when they take the job. And here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to approach the job if I'm given the opportunity. And what it shows is that you're impressive, that you have initiative, that you're organized, that you have thought through this particular position and how you're going to be effective at it. I still think you could do it as a dental hygienist if you really think through it just a little bit. But again, it's kind of an advanced tool. Don't feel like you need to but keep it in mind as an option. The first 30 days is going to be something along the lines of learning the system, getting acquainted with the staff. The first 60 days, you're going to focus on learning a majority of the patients, who they are, and you're going to try to understand their cases and the past experiences that they've had at the office. And then in the first 90 days, you're going to, at some point along that way, set a goal, a production goal maybe, or a retention goal with the employer. And again, what it communicates is that you're forward thinking, that you're not just taking a job just to take a job, that you're really investing yourself in this position, and you want to stand out, quite frankly. And this is a great way to do that. So something to think about. Again, kind of an advanced tool. And then I think this is the last one. Nope, next to last slide. We're going to talk about the post-job interview follow-up sheet. This is another advanced technique that you would use following a job interview. And again, you would, of course, send out a thank you note within the first day, or maybe the first 24 hours of your job interview, to thank them and reiterate what it is that you felt was strong about you. You may recall that one from the last video. This is to send out within the first 3 days. And again, you want to take a little bit of space to reinforce what it is that you can bring to the table, what it is that makes you stand out, and sort of a summary of some of the key bullet points that the employers seem to pick up on in the job interview when they were talking with you. Again, along the same lines of all these materials and all of these techniques, it's impressive, it's effective. It could be a tipping point for employers who are on the fence about you and someone else. They're easy to assemble, and you just have to kind of have it ready to go. And then once your interview is done, put in some little language that's custom to that position and that experience that you're having with that job, and just kind of tweak it and get it ready and get it out the door. But again, it's sort of a way for you to stand out, to be different, to be unique, and to make your mark, so to speak, so that you are the one that they choose, and you are an impressive candidate that they can't live without. Again, think outside the box. All I'm saying with all of these techniques is just to think outside the box. Don't be limited by what I even say. Think through your own situation. Think through what it is that is unique about the position that you're looking at, what you can bring to the table for that position, and then really take some time to brainstorm and bounce ideas off of friends, and as to how you can stand out. Every job situation is different, so you have to think through how it is that you can make an impact, how you can be memorable, those kinds of things. I've seen some job seekers go passing out cookies, or bringing in a bowl of fruit or something to make themselves stand out. And they do work. Those types of things do work. They aren't necessarily always going to be the thing that makes the difference, but it's the accumulation, the aggregate of all of these things put together that just makes you such an impressive candidate, that even if you don't get the job for whatever strange reason, that they feel compelled to refer you to somebody else who they know is hiring. That's a win as well. But again, think outside the box. Think about different ways in which you can make a difference, and how you can make yourself stand out in just amazing ways. Again, it's Doug Perry, and visit my website, gethiredrdh.com, if you have more questions, or and there you can contact me. There's a chat box. There's also email and phone number that you can reach me at. Take time to read my book, Landing a Great Dental Hygiene Job. It's free on my website. There's even an audio version. And then if you need some help, if you need some extra work on your resume or any of those materials that we've talked about, feel free to contact me, and we can talk about how I can help you incorporate some of those things. again, my experience and background are in public relations, marketing, and communications. And so I have a lot of insight and knowledge about how to brand a person and how to brand what it is that you do to make yourself unique and special in the job market. So feel free to reach out. It's been a pleasure to talk with you again for video 4. Video 5 is coming up next, and what we're going to be talking about there is, where are the jobs? Where are they at? How do I find them? There's some very, very important information in there that you're not going to want to miss, because quite frankly, it impacts the rest of your career. And there's some techniques and strategies in there that are so important, so foundational, that you absolutely have to understand those and know about them. And I'm going to try to walk you through them in a way that you'll understand quickly, and you'll be able to execute on them in a way that is helpful to you. And then the last video, we're going to wrap it up on video 6 with interviews, job interview techniques, and maybe some of the questions that you might face, as well as how to dress, what to prepare for, how to prepare, those kinds of things. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and look forward to talking to you again here soon for video number 5.